Welcome back to the Rocky Road podcast. We're here with our new friend, Chancellor. Chancellor, if you would love to introduce yourself, tell us who you are.
So what's happening, everybody? Blessings and balance to you all. Blessings and balance to the hosts. And, of course, big shout out to everybody that's tuning in. Y'all the major MVPs. So, really appreciate y'all being here. The name is Chancellor K. Jackson, born and raised in Atlanta, Georgia. Still reside in Atlanta, Georgia. Played football the vast majority of my life. And got to play in high school. Then, of course, took my talents to Stetson University down in Florida, where I played defense. I played defensive back my entire career. So I'm a true DB for all my football fans out there. True DB.
That's awesome. So you're playing football and you're in Florida.
Yeah, so I obtained my bachelor's degree in communication and media studies. So what we're doing right now is pretty much my cup of tea. And ironically, I landed my first job teaching English to children in China after I graduated. So went to China. I entered China on October 10th, 2018, and I was supposed to do a year, only ended up doing 6 months, because I got locked up out there, did 14 days in the Beijing penitentiary. After I was released, I was immediately deported from the country, and I came back to America. I was pretty much at square one all over again, just trying to figure out, how I'm going to bounce back from, this setback. And just from that point on, just me trying a bunch of different things, honestly. And, now I wear a lot of different hats for sure. But just a young cat here running a couple marathons trying to get established.
I know nothing about prison systems in China and what can land you in locked up for 14 days. It seems like such a specific amount of time. So to your comfort level, can you walk us through like what happened and how you were advocated for as an American in China? That just seems so complicated.
China's a strict ass country, so it don't matter what you doing. You know what I'm saying? You be doing something that you think is A-okay. But in their eyes, it's you tripping or something. So I was locked up with folks for all different types of stuff. The smallest, pettiest things you can think of. So it's just a strict country. So it's like, just be mindful of where you are or where you travel to, and definitely do your research before you take your ass over there. But it was April 4th, 2019. So it's creeping up on month 6 for me. It's a day off. I'm in my apartment. I'm getting ready to head to a team building event that my company was hosting. I was going to meet some colleagues and some friends there. And we was going to we was going to customize our own Chinese fans. So I was like, oh, it's going to be lit. So before I go, I'm a pregame. Now, for those that don't know what pre-gaming is, say you and a group of friends or, your family members going to go out on a night full of festivities. But before y'all go out, y'all say, hey, we're going to meet at so-and-so house first. And we're going to turn up at their house. And then we're going to go out afterwards and, really have a ball. So I'm in the apartment drinking Chinese wine cooler, smoke some cannabis out my little pipe, get done, getting dressed, make sure I got all my things before I walk out the door. And I hear a knock. Guests aren't unfamiliar and curious to see who it is. I look through the peephole, and there's the 3 officers from the Beijing police. Of course, instantly I'm spooked now. I'm like, oh, what they doing here? Scramble, put everything up, open the door. He's questioning me about drugs. Now, I'm from Atlanta, and Atlanta's known as the city of finesse. You live by the finesse, you die by the finesse. So, cuz asked me about drugs. I'm sitting here playing the fool like I don't know what he talking about. You know what I'm saying? But we going back and forth. Time progress. Another officer enters the apartment, and they pretty much drug test me right there on the spot. And at that moment, I was like, oh, yeah, it's over with. I'm like, it's OV. So I do the drug test. Fail the drug test, of course. Now, it's about 8 officers in the apartment. They ransacking the place. One officer that speaks English fluently, he's questioning me about failing the drug test, where I get the weed from, if I had any more, this, that, and the other. And like I said earlier, I'm from Atlanta. Mm-hmm. You live by the finesse, you die by the finesse. So me and this officer, we going back and forth. Mm-hmm. And once he realized I wasn't going to give him anything that he could work with, they just pretty much made, all right, the shade is up, we know what's going on. You just caught red-handed. Give it up. So, all right, it is what it is. I die by.
There's very few things that you could do in that moment to say, I have no idea what you're talking about. There are very few things that most people could even creatively think about.
Especially being high out of your mind still. You know what I'm saying? It was like trying to, man, it was a lot of emotions
Yeah.
anxiety, you know what I'm saying, at an all time high. It was intense, but I still was keeping my composure the best that I could. But once I realized that the charade was up, you know what I'm saying, I was all right, I died by the finesse. You know what I'm saying? I live to finesse another day. It's all good. Now I got to hold myself accountable. So I fessed up to it. They confiscate everything, throw the cuffs on me. And now, you know what I'm saying, escort me out the building and sit me down in the police van. And now I'm just in disbelief in regards to what just took place. And Kira's is like, how's this thing finna play out? You know what I'm saying? What's finna happen next? I don't know. How this thing, I have no clue. But I'm going to learn out soon enough. So just sit tight.
I'm sure in that moment too, it's really surreal. Like you don't think you're going to go to another country and get arrested for something that in the US, not to downplay it, but in the US is really not a big deal. That people, like marijuana is legal in certain states now. And so it's just, you're just doing your thing, kind of living your life. And then all of a sudden now you're in a foreign country, getting arrested, getting put in jail. I mean, I don't know. I would be terrified. I would be so scared if I was like, my thought of a Chinese prison is not good. So like, what were you thinking? You're sitting in that van. Like, what's going through your mind?
Ironically enough, I said to myself, I don't know how this thing finna play out, but when it's all said and done, I know I'm gonna be good. I know I'm gonna be good when it's all said and done. I don't know what I'm gonna have to endure. You know what I'm saying? I may have to be something physical. It may have to be something mental, emotional. Whatever it is, I got to take it to the chin for sure. But when it's all said and done, I know I'm still gonna be me. So for sure. In regards to that, I also said take note of every minor detail because it's gonna be a great story to tell once you're out of this predicament. And the last thing I said to myself, enjoy this high one last time, because boy, we don't know what the hell can happen to us. Here, you feel me? That was the only three things I myself. For real. And then after that, now it's just journey. You know what I'm saying? We go to one precinct there very, very briefly. We get back in the van. Now we riding. I have no clue where we're going. We arrive at another precinct. This one's a little bit bigger. They had me change my clothes, throw me in a holding cell about 8 other Chinese dudes for a little bit. Then they come and grab me, take me to do my official interrogation. And this is dramatic within the book because they take me to the basement of the precinct into this all-white room and walk me to this all-metal chair that looks like an electric chair. And then they open it up and they just sitting there looking at me. And I'm sitting there looking at them. I look at the chair and look back at them. Look at the chair again. And then look back at them. Like, y'all really want me to sit my...
You must be joking.
Like, and they just like, yeah. So I sat my ass down. That chair locked my shins, thighs, waist, chest, and arms all in one place. The only part of my body I could move was my head. So I did my whole interrogation.
Now, were they speaking English to you in any of this process, other than that one officer you said that you met briefly? Was there any English spoken?
The first officer, you know what I'm saying, the officer that was interrogating me in the apartment about felony drug test, he spoke English. The two officers, once they locked me in the chair, two officers entered the room. One was conducting the interrogation. The other one was transcribing. I'm assuming the other one spoke English. The one that was transcribing, he didn't talk at all. But I'm assuming he spoke English because he put everything down on paper. But when they brought the transcription to me to read, it's all written in Mandarin, so I really don't know what it says. But they say to sign it, and I signed it, thumbprint it, and they released me from the chair. So I'm like, all right, bet. We go upstairs, do my mugshot, handprint, and then they throw me back in the holding cell. And now I'm just in the holding cell reflecting on everything that had transpired today, from the apartment to now. Like, okay, what could I have done better when everything popped off at the apartment? Well, I could have did this. I could have did this. You know what I'm saying? Ooh, damn. And in interrogation, I could have said this. I could have said that. You know what I'm saying? I'm just coming up with just different scenarios of how I could have, you know what I'm saying, handled the situation better.
Yeah.
But regardless, with me failing that drug test, I was going to be in the same predicament. So I was damned if it was quiet for me regardless. And now my high is finally coming down. So now I'm fading in and out of consciousness. I'm getting sleepy now, but you know what I'm saying, I'm still handcuffed, just trying to find a good position to lie down. Hours and hours pass. They come get me, walk me to the lobby, bring my basket clothes, tell me to get dressed. So I'm like, oh, snap, all right, bet. He ain't said nothing but a word. So I'm sitting there waiting for the next set of orders, and they had me follow them through this door, down the hall, and now we enter this room. And I can only guess is this is some form of evidence room just because I see evidence bags everywhere. No sense of organization, no structure. It's just hoarded. You know what I'm saying? There's just shit everywhere. In the center of the room is a table, and in the middle of the table is everything that was confiscated from my apartment. So, officer sits down, and he weighs the weed up right there in front of me. Now, this is an interesting phase within the book because one, as a reader, you're curious to know how much does he actually have on him. Two, when have you ever heard or saw law enforcement weigh whatever they just confiscated from somebody right up in front of them? I felt like that was different. So I was like, okay, that's interesting. I ain't never seen nothing like that before. And three, as y'all can tell up to this point, I really don't know what's going on. I'm just, you know what I'm saying, following orders. They say jump, I say how high. That is how it goes the entire story. I'm here to tell you I did 14 days. You know what I'm saying? As you read the book, you don't know how long you're going to be here. Nothing is explained to you. You just signed a bunch of paperwork and now you're in this jail cell. Nobody knows you in here. You don't know what's going on. So with that being said, the only information that I received was from my higher powers, my ancestors, my guardian angels, whatever you want to refer to them as. This is the very first sign they sent me and the only live and action sign they sent me. The rest, the other two signs occurred in my dreams. But the officer weighs up the cannabis and it totals out to be 1.4 grams. Now, for those that partake in cannabis, you know 1.4 grams isn't a lot. Even if you don't partake in cannabis, we're talking units of measurement. 1.4 grams of anything isn't a lot. So I didn't have much on me. So they put everything on paper again. I can't read it, but they say sign. I signed it. I thumbprint it. And now we get back in the van. I'm like, all right. I look at the clock on the radio. It's about 1 o'clock in the morning. They arrested me around like 11 a.m. So I'd have been in custody all day. So I'm like, well, I'd have been compliant. My energy's been good. I didn't work with y'all. There's no way they're not taking me home by now. So we riding. About 40, 50 minutes pass, and we arrive at a facility detailed with tall walls and barbed wire. I was just like, I just dropped my head. It's like, but we just getting started. So we enter, go to the nurse's office, do a quick physical. Then they take me to put on my official uniform and gave me a plastic bowl, a plastic spoon, and then we went upstairs to the second floor to an amenities house. We get to cell 209, and the CO opens the door. My psyche is thrown instantly by the setup of the cell. Mind you, it's like 4 o'clock in the morning, so people are asleep. But the CO opens the door, and immediately I see a huddle of bodies sleeping. In the book, I describe it as a slumber party. It looked like a slumber party. Across from the slumber party are 2 Chinese inmates, wide awake, standing up against the wall, watching the rest of the inmates sleep. So, of course, with us, the few of us that are awake, we make eye contact. Now, the last thing them folks expect to see come walk through this door was brother with locks. The last thing I expected to see was 2 Chinese motherfuckers watching other Chinese motherfuckers sleep. So we just got this awkward moment of eye contact, just trying to feel each other out, trying to get a, you know what I'm saying, understand what the situation is. I'm like, why are they watching these people sleep? What's going on here? So I'm like, why these folks all huddled up together on the bed? So I do a head count. Okay, including me, it's 15 of us in this cell. All right. So I count the beds, which ain't number of wooden bunks. Okay, it's 9 of those in total. But it makes sense why it looks like a slumber party then. To my left is the bathroom. It's its own separate room, but all the walls are made of glass, so everybody in the cell can see inside. You have a regular sink, a squat toilet, so pretty much a hole in the ground you got to squat over. Shower ain't nothing but a water hose with a shower head duct tape to it. Got black mold coating the walls, gnats and stuff flying around. So it's not the most sanitary place, to say the least. So I approached.
Wow. And also, nobody speaks the language either. And you look very different than they do.
I'm used to this. I'm used to this at this point. You know what I'm saying? I've been out here 6 months. Everywhere I go, I'm taboo. So it's not even that. It don't even bother me.
Yeah.
So I approached the slumber party, trying to find a spot to lie down. And one of the inmates I was taking watch wakes 2 people up to make room for me, and they do. And they had me set my bowl and my spoon in a cubby up underneath the bunk. And I laid down between these 2 Chinese dudes with my hands on my chest like this here, and I'm staring at the bright light on the ceiling. And this is when reality fully kicked in. It fully kicked in, and then I'm like, damn, boy. Hey, we in here. We don't know how long we finna be in here. Nothing has been explained to us. Nobody knows we in here. It's not looking too good, to say, you know what I'm saying, to say the least. But, hey, got to hold myself accountable. Can't be mad or point the finger or place the blame on anybody else for me being in this predicament. So, it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? However long I'm gonna be here, however it's gonna play out, I just gotta deal with it. Now, moving forward, what needs to take place to speed this process up? You know what I'm saying? Well, first thing first, Chance, people gotta realize you're in here. All right, well, how would that happen? Well, you were supposed to meet friends and colleagues at that event today. You know what I'm saying? And you didn't show up.
Yeah, well, at this
Go ahead.
at this point, were you even offered any sort of communication with
Nope.
anybody else? Were you, because I know here, like, there's a phone call, there's all sorts
Yeah.
of things that legally
Yeah,
have to
that's America.
happen. Nobody offered, is there anyone
That's
you want to
America.
call?
That's
Yeah,
America.
exactly.
Nah, ain't none of that. Like I said,
Yeah.
and folks, I don't know what's going on. I'm just only time these people was communicating with me was asking me about the drugs. Aside from that, it was zero forms of communication. That's it. They asked me about the weed. After that, I ain't saying nothing to them. They ain't saying nothing to me. Shit. So, you know what I'm saying? I don't know what's gonna happen, how this thing gonna play out, but I'm like, hey, accountability. I got to hold myself accountable. You know what I'm saying? I made a choice. I knew the repercussions from it. So now the shit that has hit the fan, hey, I got to take this to the chin. You know what I'm saying? So it is what it is. You know what I mean?
What's something that you had as a perception that was shattered when you moved to China? I mean, being there for 6 months, you were pretty immersed and you were teaching. So you saw, I'm sure you saw kids, you saw parents in your community, you saw probably every age
I
group.
say the biggest thing that messed me up was the hygiene. That was the biggest thing for me. Their definition of hygiene is something else. Like that. We got two different, you know what I'm saying, meanings behind hygiene. They don't wash their hands. They don't really brush their teeth like that. So I'm like, if you ain't wash your hands, you ain't brushing your teeth like that. I guarantee you probably ain't wash your body like that for real, for real. So it's like, you know what I'm saying? That was the biggest thing for me. Like the school I worked in, the bathrooms didn't have toilet paper or soap in it.
Different people and different cultures are not weird. They're not wrong. They're
Different.
just different. And that's all. And then you have to learn to live with that and live in that culture. And because you are the outsider in China, you are the one that's stepping into their land, their place, where they grew up, their
Facts.
cultures. And it's not blended like America is. They're all born and raised for, thousands and thousands and thousands of years in that
Facts.
same place.
Facts.
So,
You hit the nail right on the head. Right on the head. Big facts. You know what I'm saying? That's why traveling is so important. Everywhere you go, life is lived drastically different.
yeah, I mean, and I think you can learn a lot from another culture. For you, I'm sure you took a lot away from your experience. Again, outside of the fact that you were put in prison for 2 weeks, just being around different people and a different language and different food and what's available to them to eat and what isn't based on agriculture. Just like little things that I'm sure you experienced too while you were there. So take us. They just opened the door for you one day and let you go. Is that how that worked?
Yeah, pretty. Well, you know what I'm saying? Essentially, I had it. It was crazy. I had a dream. I want to say day 3 or day 4. No, it's probably like day 5, day 6. I had a dream, and it was letting me know how my release would be. Now, did I know it initially? Nah, I'm just dreaming. You know what I'm saying? I woke up, I'm like, hey, bro, I had this dream. Whoop, whoop, whoop. It happened just like this. We got out, you know what I'm saying? And lo and behold, the dream was down there spot on. I'm talking about it was probably like one thing that was off, but everything else was to the T. And I was just, them folks, when they called my name, I was just so blown away with just how tapped in and in tuned I was with my subconscious and the spiritual realm and the ancestors throughout this whole 14-day process. To have no type of information whatsoever, and only thing I gotta rely on is them. You know what I'm saying? And they definitely there with me the whole time, and they, you know what I'm saying, giving me information and letting me know how, you know what I'm saying, how this thing gonna play out. And it was just so when they called my name, I was just sitting there. I was like stuck, like I'm just like replaying the dream in my head and comparing it to this what's happening now. I done completely forgot that these folks is calling me to come on. That's how in shock I am. I'm like, damn, hold on, these folks called me to go. Let me get the hell on before they close. So, you know what I'm saying? Walked out. They took me downstairs, gave me my basket of clothes, walked me to the lobby, had me sign a bunch of stuff I couldn't read, thumbprint it. And we get in the van, they take me to my apartment to pack up the rest. Well, we get to the street my apartment is on, and before we turn into the apartment complex, they stopped at the, you know what I'm saying, the plaza right outside the complex, and the officer in the passenger seat, he went into the McDonald's to get them some breakfast, So I had to wait while they went to go get him some breakfast. So he came back with coffee and hash browns. So once we pulled into the apartment complex, they walked me to the apartment. I packed up the rest of my stuff. And then they took me straight to the airport while I was deported from the country.
Wow.
Wow.
With no papers, nobody ever really clearly told you anything.
No. Yeah.
Wow.
That's quite a story. I would say that's a good book to read.
That's what makes a story what it is. Because, like, I can't make this up. I cannot make this up. Like, imagine going through it. You know what I'm saying? It felt like a movie going through it. So I'm like, just when I was writing it and really editing it, and I was like, oh yeah, I know. I was like, this is gonna go crazy. I knew it was gonna go crazy. The girlfriend I had at the time, I got back to America, found out that wasn't a relation. That wasn't a thing still. So I got to deal with the breakup. My money's still all in China.
Mm-hmm.
My back against the wall right now. I'm down bad. You know what I mean? it's a low for me. I'm still in education, tutoring at elementary school. Fell into coaching football over that summer, and I started writing for 14 Days in Beijing that summer as well. And that transpired when I was kicking it with one of my friends I grew up with. He was a published author before we graduated high school in 2014. He was like, hey, bro, you should write a book about the experience. I was just like, that's a good-ass idea. I don't even know where to start. But that's a great idea. He even took it further, took my phone, went to my notes section. He left a 5-layer outline. And I just started filling it in. And with me filling it in, I caught a flow for how I wanted to tell the story. So I moved it from the notes on my phone to a Google Doc so I could type it up. 4 months later, the story was written. And just additional 6 months to get it, you know what I'm saying, ready for publishing. And so on April 4th, 2019, that's the day I got arrested in China. The very next year, anniversary day, April 4th, 2020, I released the very first version of 14 Days in Beijing. I was ranked the #1 new bestseller in 3 different genres.
Wow.
And you
That's
finished
awesome.
it in 4 months, which is so, like, the writing part was 4 months. There are some people who work for 6 years on a book and it's not done. And it was flowing out of you so fast that 4 months and you were ready to work on editing and publishing. That's spectacular.
Yeah.
So are you interested in speaking engagements, talking to people who are interested in traveling? What's your next step? How else do you want to share your story?
So I published 2 more books, and they're a romance saga. All 3 books it's a trilogy, so it's all 3 books tell one long story. But the last 2 books are, you know what I'm saying, just a different tone. It's romance, and they're titled "You Love, You Learn," and "Real Love Never Dies." And they're all published through I own my own publishing company, so all my books are published through, you know what I'm saying, my company. And with me publishing 14 days going crazy, so many people, I'm talking about so many people have reached out to me since in regards to, you know what I'm saying, who done had aspirations of being an author since they was a child. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, this is just something, this was an idea that was proposed to me, and I just took it and ran with it. It's something you've been wanting to do? For sure. You know what I'm saying? So it's like now started to service coaching inspiring authors. So anybody out there with an idea or concept for a story but don't know how to go about putting it on paper, or say you've written the whole book but don't know how to go about publishing, tap in with your boy. I can walk you through either or process. You know what I'm saying? Or both of them if need be. I had a client who just published this book in October of last year, titled The Fatherless Child by Anthony McKinney. And he was ranked the #1 new bestseller in 2 different genres. So, you know what I'm saying? That's our first author we got published. And we working with plenty more too. So, you know what I'm saying? Just helping people get, you know what I'm saying, bring their stories to light. You know what I'm saying? For sure.
Yeah, that's amazing. And your educational background is obviously turned into more mentorship, which is wonderful because you're still using your strengths. You're still using the skills that got you to the place that got you to a negative place that then got you published and being able to tell this wonderful story. So it's all coming full circle. And that's really, really, I mean, I think I'm kind of in shock a little bit because we just got so much information that I need to just digest and like chew on a little bit, because I'm sitting here thinking like advocacy, rights, like where the heck was there an American from the embassy that comes here to say like, hey, are you okay? We're here to advocate for you. But I don't know how that just doesn't happen. And it blows my mind that you were left literally in the dark.
We met with the embassy, but that was on day 10, chapter 10. And It wasn't cuz it was white dude from Nebraska. He was about around my age. So he was a cool cat. You know what I'm saying? He came in clean with a clean gray suit on. Like, oh, my boy clean, he fresh. So we chopping it up with him. He was like, yeah, bro, ain't really much we can do on our end. As long as they ain't treating y'all inhumanely, that's pretty much it. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, okay, we pretty much just got another chance to get out of the cell. That's essentially what that was. So it really wasn't nothing he could do anyway. So yeah, it was just man in the dark for real. But ironically enough,
Wow.
so the first 3 days I'm the only foreigner, only English speaker in the cell. On day 4, chapter 4, I moved to a new cell, and in that new cell I'm amongst 3 other foreigners. One is a Russian dude that speaks Russian and Mandarin. Other one is a Chinese American that speaks, of course, Mandarin and English. And he was from California. And the third foreigner was Brazilian from Brazil. Of course, he speaks Portuguese, English, and Mandarin. So, of course, now I got people to talk to. Now I can start connecting the dots and making sense as far as how the jail even operates, and then, of course, how this process works. But I still have no clue how long I'm going to be here. But ironically enough, everybody else knows all the information to the fullest detail. I'm the only one that has nothing has been explained to. Ironically. But that's what makes my story what it is. But yeah,
That's so, that's so crazy. And I mean, I would think, you would have somebody speak to you in English if there were other people there that spoke English, that they would at least tell you what was going on. But at least you were able to connect. And I guess when you left, then because you one didn't really know you were leaving fully, and then you like never can connect with these people again. Like, was there any way for you to remain like you have no idea what happened in these people?
Now, as far as the actual like the Chinese inmates, I was able to communicate with them because of, what I'm saying, the Chinese American and Brazilian. I got translators now, so I ain't really talking to the Chinese inmates like that too much unless I got my representatives here to, what I'm saying, help me with the dialogue. But aside from that, I'm kicking it with the foreigners. We got so tight that first day, you would have thought we grew up together, sharing clothes and all. You know what I'm saying? Like, we got so close, it was crazy. And I just tapped in with them just last week. I messaged them on Facebook. You know what I'm saying? We made sure to get each other's Facebook before we got up out of there. So we still connect for sure. Wow. Yeah, we're lifelong friends. What, we got locked together in China? Come on. We partners, man.
I'm like kind of like Kristen. I'm a little speechless. Like, I just wouldn't. I mean, my goodness. Yeah. It's like you don't even know what to say when you hear that from somebody. And I mean, thank God that you're okay. Like that you're back here, that you're safe, that you're in Atlanta, you're back with family, you're doing your thing, you're using what happened to you for something good and trying to help other people share their stories and, just provide encouragement. And you talk about it just so nonchalant, like it's just no issue. Totally fine. I was just in jail, in a jail for 2 weeks, no problem. So that's
part of my shell shockness is the fact that I know, like, I've worked with and I know stories from my husband at work, and I used to work in a group home that had people that had just gotten out of American prisons, and like it can be a really terrible place, and it can be even if you're there overnight, it can be absolutely traumatic. And so I'm not saying what happened to you and what's happening to people in Chinese jails is not traumatic, but do you think that your attitude at the time shielded you from that, and would any other person have had as a similar experience, or do you really feel like it's your personality and your ability to have accountability in that moment and reflect and somehow, live by finesse and die by finesse in that moment?
For sure. That was fun. But man, I definitely, me holding myself accountable definitely played a factor in, what I'm saying, just how I just handled the situation. I feel like if I didn't take accountability and I was trying to point the finger, things probably would have been way worse for me. You know what I'm saying? Because here, you know what I'm saying? Way worse for me. And I feel like it's a few people that could go through what I went through and they would still come out the same person. Because, I mean, it just says a lot about them as an individual. Not everybody is built like that. You know what I'm saying? You ain't cut from that. Everybody ain't cut from that cloth. So I can't say everybody, because I know quite a few folks that go through something like that, man, don't fell off the deep end. You know what I'm saying? Mentally, emotionally. So there's a lot of people. Like it's thousands of people that have been locked up in China, locked up in foreign countries. You know what I'm saying? And get out and don't tell a soul. You know what I'm saying? Don't need. If I didn't write this book, nobody would have known this happened to me. You know what I'm saying? Nobody would have known. I could have just kept this to myself and just tucked my tail between my legs and went on about my merry way. Like, nah, hell no. Never let no hard time humble us. Okay, I knew I made a decision. I made a choice. There's the repercussions from it for sure. But I knew when I was sitting in the jail, I'm in the cell, I'm like, bro, trying to make sense of why is this happening. Like, okay, I know why it's happening because of my decision making, but I felt like it was still bigger than that. It's something I'm like, it's bigger than that. Like, cause I'm like some one point, like what? Something so petty and small like this. I'm like, bro, this is not even. It's bigger than this. You know what I'm saying? It's really something I'm supposed to do with this experience. I don't know what and what I'm. You know what I'm saying? What all I'm supposed to take away? What I'm supposed to do at this particular time? But I know in due time. You know what I'm saying? It will tell all. So. It's just crazy. I already knew subconsciously. Like when I said, when I'm handcuffed in the van, like, hey, I don't know what's gonna happen, but I know I'm gonna be good when it's all said and done. I know I'm gonna be good. Take note of every minor detail. You know what I'm saying? Subconsciously, I already knew. You know what I'm saying? So it's just crazy. Yeah, man. It's crazy though, for sure. It's crazy.
That is really crazy. And as we wrap up our conversation here, and we're just really grateful for you, like I said before, that you're safe, that you're okay, that you're here, that you're able to share your story. And, we have our playlist for our guests to listen to, and I can only imagine what you're going to pick to put on it and to add as your choice. But with this experience and these 2 weeks that you had there, and just really the rest of your life that we didn't even really get to touch on either, is just share with us what song you would choose to sum up this experience, this part of your life, and why you would.
All right, so the song is called "I Do This" by Nipsey Hussle. For those that don't know who Nipsey Hussle was a mogul, philanthropist, philosopher, serial entrepreneur, straight out of South Los Angeles. Rolling 60 script. And he was killed in 2019. And the reason why I chose this song, because the intro, he pretty much is reciting a poem, essentially. And I felt like that poem is symbolic to my journey, is a great representation of my journey. But, you know what I'm saying, it can be applied to anyone. And the intro goes, long-winded, running through this life like it was mine. Never settling, but setting every goal high. 1,000 burpees on the path to my own self-destruction or success. But what is a mistake without the lesson? You see, the best teacher in life is your own experience. And none of us know who we are until we fail. They say every person is defined by their reaction to any given situation. Well, who would you want to define you? Someone else? Or yourself? Whatever you choose to do, homie, give your heart to it. Stay strong.